can make a good story out of any topic. I can write anything. If whoever approaches me and tells me like, I need you to write this and that about this and that product or service or topic or whatever, I can definitely make a story out of it and it's something good. But writing is not always just about like actually writing it down.
That's really powerful. Writing is not about writing. The whole structuring and storytelling is extremely important. Like, what is your process?
First of all, think about the target group. Second, think about what you want to, that's what message you want to get to them, and narrow it down to 1 or 2 sentences.
That sounds easy, but it's actually extremely hard.
I always followed my heart. I never work with people that I didn't like. It's all about impact for me. Now, I didn't write because it's my passion. I have such a deep passion for writing.
I strongly believe that writing is the most important skill for any business owner. Business success is about selling emotions, and you can't do that if you're not good at summarizing what your company does in a way that triggers the right emotions in future clients or investors. So naturally, I'm thrilled every time I meet someone who writes for a living. Mona is such a person. How did you find this passion for writing? What's the backstory?
Actually, it started when I was pretty young. I was writing a diary, I was journaling when I was very young. Something that a lot of business owners now need to learn again. I was doing like from a very young age. Like in the beginning, it was like mainly complaining about what was going wrong in my life, like especially at school or with my parents or something. It was just like really helping me to cope with things. So for me, writing was always kind of a therapy, getting rid of certain like thoughts on my mind, like just getting them out on paper, which is like a very nice therapy, also like a kind of a psychotherapy, So for me, it was always a mixture of passion and the absolute urge and necessity to write daily. I just happened, it was just flowing out of my fingers, And then at school, obviously, I was writing a lot because I had to. So I always loved writing about poems. I always loved writing like long articles about certain topics because like my personality is like, I'm a very curious person. I have a very curious personality. So I really love to dive into topics. So this obviously helped me a lot at school. And then I have another passion, which is traveling. So when I was studying, I didn't actually know what exactly I wanted to become. I first thought about becoming a journalist at the beginning. I started off as a teacher, actually. I wanted to become a teacher because it was just a decision because I didn't know what to do. So I studied French and Spanish because I always loved talking languages, connecting with people internationally, and because I always loved traveling. So that was another like combination of everything. And so I started working as an air hostess at Lufthansa. During my studies to finance everything. And then I started writing travel stories, and that's actually how I got into journalism. And I had to stop working. I stopped my studies after four semesters because it was so boring. I really didn't like it. I didn't want to become a teacher anymore after a little while. And so I decided to study journalism. And I needed to quit my job at Lufthansa after that because I needed to do an intern at a magazine or a newspaper. And I did that at a media house in Cologne. And actually writing about economics, which is like a totally different topic, but it was so interesting. It was something I dived into again because it was a new topic. I was curious and everything. And then I started studying journalism in Hamburg. And before I started studying, I already published a couple of pieces in travel magazines. I just reached out to the editors-in-chief, and some trusted me, and I got my first job done as a journalist.
Wow.
Then I started journalism, and from that moment on, it just went.
Yeah, that's very powerful. like a lot of things you said. Like, first of all, to me, you're like an early true influencer, true travel influencer, right? You did it before it was cool, sort of. You did it before there was Instagram. You just did it by writing. And this also brought it to Lufthansa, which for those who don't know is like, I think the biggest German airline probably, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
you fly
it is.
internationally. I think most people will know. And also the journaling part, you're completely right about it being therapy. I journal daily, and it's like the last thing I do before I go to bed every time. I have like the structure of, I rate my day from 1 to 10. How satisfied am I? So I can also be like, okay, what happened during this day? And then I will also have like this 3 things I'm grateful for to, remind myself that life is good, which especially on some bad days is extremely important to me, because then I often come to the conclusion, yeah, bad things happen, but actually my life is good. And then obviously the whole part of me writing whatever comes to mind and really like taking my thoughts and putting it to paper is extremely helpful, because you just can't skip that. If you skip it, you just with your own thoughts all the time, and you I don't know, it gets messy. You just need to download your information, kind of, right? And then you see
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
way
You
more
put
clear.
it on paper and it's out of the system, right? Like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah.
for the 8 hours of sleep or how long
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
tend to sleep, you probably don't sleep for 8 hours.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I realized that
I know
because of
what you think.
business. Like, I
Yeah.
realized that because of I wanted to, fix myself or, make better decisions. But you just realized that very early on, which is very impressive. And I wished, like, I knew journaling is a thing, but I never did it because I didn't understand the power of it, right? And then I just said, okay, let's do it. And this is a really powerful way, because you learned that writing is really powerful early on. And then over time, you said also that you became a French-Spanish teacher, which also means, you like traveling, you like exploring. And then that kind of brought you to Lufthansa, and also the traveling basically made you become a journalist in the end, which is really powerful. So my next question would be, how do you actually become good at writing? Because just because you're journaling and just because you have a passion probably doesn't mean that you actually can make money out of it, right? Because like my journaling is not like, I feel like I can write a book or something. I mean, I still like content creation, but what is the process of actually becoming good?
Practice. Writing is actually a skill everyone can learn. And I'm 100% sure that everyone can learn it. It's not that I'm so special, that I'm a good writer or anything. It's a lot of effort and practice. Also, reading a lot helps, because you dive into different styles of writing, like whatever you're interested in. Reading about it helps you to dive into the process, like and then maybe like take certain topics you're interested in and write about it. Like, just practice. What I do, for example, is like every morning I just write it. Whatever. It's just like any topic. It doesn't need to be like anything like very important. It can be something that I had in my mind because I dreamt about it. Or like when my dog was still alive, I was writing about my dog every morning. Like how he looked at me, how he woke me up, how he was playing in the garden, or how we went for a walk, stuff like that. And a very good exercise is actually like reading news headlines or short stories, like very short ones even, like just just like some flash news, and then building the story around it. Like, for example, there was a car accident on the road, like just around the corner from your place. And what you do is like you do develop the characters around it. Who was involved in it? Why did it happen? You can maybe even write about like the short periods of time right before it happened. Why it happened? Like what you can see in movies, for example. Like you can actually feel when a car is going towards a crossroad and there's like certain music in the background, and the driver is maybe at his phone or her phone or looking down or whatever. You can actually feel it happening. These moments, like writing about those moments and building up the characters and everything, that's just, for me, that's the best exercise to actually
I love it.
diving into the creative process, because it's creation, it's creative. You need a lot of like imagination. We need to train your brain to not just follow instructions, but to develop, and that's so easy because we're like bombarded with news every day. Like these days, I would maybe even say like scroll through your Instagram, and then they see like a certain picture, and you tell in words, in your own words, what happens in the picture and what happened before the picture was taken, or you can develop the story further on. Stuff like that really helps to dive into the writing process.
Yeah, I've never heard that before, actually, and it's very powerful because for business especially, it means that you don't really have to come up with the topic you write about. It's more like you can just read, I don't know, The Economist or Entrepreneur or whatever, and then just pick the headline that fits your business, and then you can make up the entire story yourself, sort of, right?
Exactly.
And then you suddenly know that, okay, now I've written this piece, and it's not about trying to come up with, like, I don't know, it's a really powerful method because especially the headline is so hard to get right. It's like how should you name this piece when you do a blog post? Like, what should be there? I think it's, or like YouTube, right? Like when you have a title, it's extremely hard to actually find the title for a video afterwards. So why not just start with a title that might already exist and then use your imagination and then write the script about it? That's a really, and you can do it for every topic, right? It doesn't have to be business. It can be anything you like.
Exactly.
And then you also find your style, right? Because you're like, that's interesting. In your case, it was car accidents. Maybe you're interested in car accidents. And then you can...
I'm not. It just came up to my mind right now.
Yeah. But, you could be like, an offer for some, I don't know, for some crazy story regarding this car accident, right? So, yeah, it's really powerful. That also brings me to the next question. First of all, I want to know like your routine, because you said you write every morning. Is this really something you do, that you just wake up and you write?
I do always have a piece of paper and a pen next to my bed. So I'm trying to do it every day. Sometimes I wake up because someone calls me. So I don't do it. But even if I don't do it, like I'm not practicing it, I still do it in my mind, like I think about things and how to develop something. Sometimes like when I still had my dog, I was walking the dog and making up stories on my mind, stuff like that. So writing is not always just about like actually writing it down. It's also about being creative, like training your brain. So I try to do it every morning, and sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I have ideas, and I just scribble them down on my sheet of paper next to my bed, and that's it.
That's really powerful. Writing is not about writing, basically. It's about, you could in theory also just say it as a voice message, because it just doesn't matter if you write it down or if you say it. It's more about thinking about the story and then putting it either to paper or recording it as a video or as a voice message. It really doesn't matter anymore, right? So that's the actual process of writing.
I think so, because like, audiobooks are a very big thing right now, You can just create, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, in my opinion, you can create an audiobook without even writing it down. You just have to structure it properly. You have to structure it properly to make sure you don't talk like too much around the topic and to get too widespread about stuff, and to make sure you follow a storyline. Like there's a shitload of rules about storytelling and everything. Actually, I like those rules because they make it so much easier. If you follow them, they make it so much easier to come to a hiatus and stuff like that. So, but you can just scribble a few things down and develop it in speaking. Why not doing this as well? But for me personally, the process of writing is very important. But some people may not like it, and they can still create an audiobook. A podcast, what we do right now, a podcast is kind of an audiobook, isn't it? So
yeah, it's an unstructured audiobook basically. And this also
Exactly.
brings me to the next topic, because as I said in the intro, writing is the most important part of business in my opinion, because it's really about selling emotions, right? And if you can't take your business and then tell people what your business is about and trigger the right emotions, then you will not sell. You will not find investors. You will not trigger anyone buying your product. And writing and imagining what your brand, what your business looks like from the outside, and then putting it into words as a video, as like an ad copy, as whatever it is, as a pitch when you go to 2 minutes, 2 millions, and you try to get investors. You just need to be very good at writing. But you need to structure it probably as well. Like what you said about storytelling, for example, when I'm a business, how would I structure it when I write a blog post or even a book? Because this is also one of your expertise, right? You do ghostwriting for businesses. And there are so many myths, like what I mentioned before. It was you just write about anything that you do, but it still not mean that this turns into a book. It still doesn't mean that someone actually buys that book, or that even a publisher would accept this book, right? So the whole structuring and storytelling is extremely important. Like, what is your process around that? Like, how can you learn that, and how do you do that with your clients?
I actually think about, first of all, who I want to sell it to. Like, I really have to think about my target group, because I'm not writing for myself. If I'm going to sell something, I'm writing for my clients, So that's really important to think about who I want to sell it to, and how do they actually consume, like, books or newspapers, whatever, how do they actually consume it in their daily life? Because that makes a big difference as well. If people like reading newspapers, they like reading long stories. But these days, it's so much harder to actually pitch through long stories, because people have a very short attention span, like going through Instagram, TikTok, whatever, So, so thinking about the topic and maybe creating 1 or 2 sentences, maximum 2, I think, to know what the main topic is about, the main message you want to transfer, you want to transport to other people is really important. Like, if you have that straight, you can build a story around it, but you have to know before the message you want to transport. So that's actually the main rules, and then start with a thesis, for example, and then go to pros and cons, or flipping the sides of a coin, you just change the perspectives a couple of times to get closer to a solution to a problem. There's so many different perspectives you can take into consideration. And it's interesting not only to have one perspective in it, and it's also a bit dependent. So there's not the golden rule for your question, or the golden answer for your question, because it's a bit dependent on the target group, and it's dependent on what you actually do and you want to transport. But first of all, think about the target group. Second, think about what you want to transport, what message you want to get to them, and narrow it down to 1 or 2 sentences, first of all.
That sounds easy, but it's actually extremely hard. Just knowing who to target, right? Because a lot of people think, let's say you want to sell, you want to sell a phone. Who is your target, right? You can literally say everyone, because everyone has a phone. But if you have a phone that is for everyone, that no one buys it, right? That's in general the rule. If it's for everyone, then it's for no one. You need to be specific. But then how do you actually target in a way that that people will know that this is for me, right? So this is extremely challenging. Do you have any process of, let's say I want to write a business, right? I'm digital marketing, I want to get clients, and I want to write a book. How would I go about that like, who would be my clients? Like, what would I even, yes, people who need help with marketing, right? But like, that's probably true for every
with marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, how would I be like, okay, this is who I can help and this is who I cannot help? It's like, would you just start with yourself first and be like, these are the people, because that's kind of how I do it. I'm like, okay, these are the people I really want to help. If you're selling crappy stuff on Amazon and you don't care about the product or your client at all, I don't really want to help you with marketing, because I'm like, this product doesn't need to exist in the world, right? It's you trying to make money. Then I'm like, I don't want to help you set up ads or make reels, whatever. But besides that, there are still a lot of people who do a lot of good things, right? There's like this amazing personal trainer, there's this amazing hypnotherapist, there is this amazing startup that makes incredible products. But I can't really target all of them, because then I still need to figure out who I want to target and also how to craft a message towards the right people. So is there any process, or is it more like just trial and error?
You can make that decision yourself, you can answer yourself, because you already said, like, who do you want to serve with your service, right? That's one of the main issues. And I always followed my heart. I never work with people that I didn't like. That it's like the same with every decision you make in daily life. Like, for example, I'm invested in the stock market, but I would never ever buy any war-related stocks, even though I could make a shitload of money with it. I wouldn't do it. And that's currently like, it's about ethics. It's about your own ethics and your own... I can be really reluctant when it comes to saying rules, because rules is so harsh, It's like, it's your own mindset, how you approach life. And that's the way how I pick my clients. I actually talk to people first, and it's not like I'm charging them for first call. I just talk to people first and see how chemistry works, what their goals are, what they want to like impact. It's all about impact for me now. Like, it wasn't like that all the time. Like, you can also say, like, I want to target only belly dancers, for example. It's actually like we talked about it like before, but you said it like a personal trainer. If you are a personal trainer, you can maybe like target all the ballet dancers that do have trouble with their feet, because ballet dancing is like really, really, really hard on your feet and your bones and everything, and your ligaments and stuff like that. So approach the people you really want to work with, the topics they talk about, if you like the topics they talk about, that you're actually interested in what they are selling. That makes things so much easier, because it keeps you interested as well. And if you're interested in something, you can just dive so much deeper into it. So that's how I do it.
Yeah. So it's not just you trying to, you have a client who wants to have a book about business, about, let's say about marketing or whatever, or about how to create offers. And it's not about finding the right people for him. It's more like asking him basically, who do you actually want to serve? Who are the people who should buy your book? Who are the people you want to work with? Like, because we can talk about this as well, because you're helping businesses in general. I mean, mainly businesses, I think, to write books, because books is like, it's extremely hard to do that, to structure it in a way that it becomes a book. And also we can talk about that it's actually not that easy to get it published as well, because publishers will not accept it if you just send them a random script of what you think is a book. But that you are not really helping them that much in terms of finding the right people, but actually they need to decide who they really want to serve with what they offer, right? Because then they will also have a more meaningful business. They will also be more happy, and then it's way easier to target the right people. So it's really about how do you feel. And that's also something that I didn't understand for years. I was like, I just target the people who buy it, right? That's kind of my audience. I just test it and see who is my target audience. But it's way more about how do you feel when you work with them? And for you as a writer, it's also that, right? You write a lot, so you also need to, like, it goes both ways. If you don't like the person, the business, you don't want to write for them, right? Because it's too much work.
Exactly, and then it's no fun, you know? I mean, as I said, like, I write because it's my passion. I have such a deep passion for writing. And if I write about stuff that I'm not interested in, it's so much harder. So it's so much harder earn money than the other way around. You know, if you like a topic, if you're interested in something, all the research you do about it, they have to make sure that you like what you do. That's like my personal opinion, because I can write anything. If whoever approaches me and tells me like, I need you to write this and that about this and that product or service or topic or whatever, I can definitely make a story out of it and it's gonna be good. But obviously I want to save my energy, and it's so much more energy consuming if you write about something that you're not the slightest bit interested in. So my advice is always like, go for something you're interested in and work with people that you're interested in, like that trigger you, that like, I mean, if you, for example, if you want to write biographies of actors, for example, because you like movies so much, go for their management's approach them directly. If they're not like top notch yet, you might be able to approach them through their Instagram or whatever, or LinkedIn. And it's the same with business owners. If you want to write a book with someone, just approach them. Why not? I mean, they can say no, and that's fine. But what if they say yes? I know.
I mean, yeah, it's a good point, especially with books, because I said it in the beginning before we recorded. I want to write a book, but the reason I don't write a book is because it's so much work. So like, you can definitely approach me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm open for that. I will still say no right now, because I'm like, I know it's a lot of work for myself as well, right? It's not like, okay, let's just spend an hour a week on it and then the book is done. Of course not. But there's still like millions of people who want to write a book. And yeah, so why not just pick it yourself, right? Like, I think that's also because, as you said, it's really about, you have to enjoy what you do. And like, you can do it, but it costs way more energy. You don't like what you do. Plus, the work you do is even worse, right? Because even if you try hard, you will still probably not write a quality that you could write if you actually really believe in whatever the person is writing a book about, right?
I slightly disagree with that, because I can make a good story out of any topic. I really can. I know I can.
Okay, that's confident.
That's a question of practice, you know? It's just so much easier. It makes my life so much easier if I write about topics that I love. If I write for people that I like, you know, that I can like relate with, or then we have like maybe something to talk about. It's like, I always think about people like, would I go and have a beer with them?
Yeah.
And if I'd say yes, I can write their books, you know, like, because I think like, okay, if we can chat along and we have something to talk about, it's so much easier to write this book for me. So
I like that question.
That's one of my goals.
I think I should also ask that question. Like, I have another question, but basically, before you start working with someone, would I voluntarily spend time with them, right? Would I actually go have a beer? Would I go have a coffee? Would I actually just want to meet them? Because without any money, without any, you know, additional whatever might come benefits. Yeah, I think that's a really important question to ask, because then you know that you will actually like doing it. Yeah. I usually ask the question like, would I work with this person for the rest of my life? Sort of like, it's the Naval Ravikant question, I think. And if the answer is no, then you should not even work with them for a day, sort of. Which is, you know, sometimes hard. But if you're like, nah, I don't like the approach, this person goes, attacks here or there, or like, person is late here, or the way he wrote this, or the way he messages me, or the way he has a call with me. If you don't like all these things, you're like, you know, if you're getting annoyed by it, then I think it's just better to not work with them, because it will be a problem that keeps coming. And it's just, I mean, I don't know where's the line, right? Like, it's hard to draw the line when it comes to working with people.
because then you can basically only work with yourself, because like you will have trigger points with every person you meet, right? And there's like, it's more about yourself and like getting yourself structured and how you approach people as well, that's another thing. Like, for example, my two business partners, it's really funny because I'm a Libra, and Libras and Scorpios, well, it's said that they don't get along too well. One of my business partners is also my life partner, and both of my business partners, they have their birthday on the same day, and of course we clash all the time about, like, we argue about a lot of things, and also like we have like completely different personalities. On top of that, my business partner in the publishing house, she has 2 kids. I don't have any kids. I'm just a dog and cat person, or animal person, maybe it's the better word for it. I'm not interested in kids, like, especially not having my own. But so she has like a totally different lifestyle. She's really bound to certain working hours. I'm not. I work in the middle of the night every now and then, just because like creativity hits me. She can't, because she has to get up very early in the morning, getting the kids ready for school and stuff like that. So would I like to have another person working with me? Maybe every now and then, but the different perspective I get towards life and different lifestyles is so interesting as well. Even though it's not for me, I still like it. I like working with her because she adds a different perspective to everything I do. And that's like challenging, but it's also very interesting. I told you I'm a very curious person, so being curious about other personalities, other people is like, for me, one of the main reasons that I wrote.
You're definitely right about that. It should not be just about the triggers. When you say, okay, I don't know, you're an animal person, she has kids, she's working during the day, and she has like a strict schedule, you're a night owl. It still doesn't mean that this is a trigger in terms of you can't work with them, that they need to be similar, but more like you need to respect the way they do things and feel like, okay, you have a benefit, and it spikes your curiosity, and you're like, okay, I want to have more of this person. Every time I talk to her, I'm inspired in a way. I see like a different perspective, different angles on certain things, and you're like, okay, I'm getting something out of that, right? It's like a synergy. It's like, I think this is the kind of better way of putting it. It's not about, this person works different hours than I do, so I can't work with them. It's more about, how do you feel about having this person in your life, right? It's sort of a relationship as well, right? Like, working relationships are just equal, maybe not as important as a romantic relationship, but it's still way more important than just saying, okay, I just work with someone because I want to make money or something.
We call each other business wives. Like, whenever we talk to each other, like, hi, business wife. Even on Instagram, and so we just play that word play. It's actually how it feels like. We kind of married, like, from the business, and we can actually learn so much from each other. So it's really, really interesting, the both of us. She always calls me her mentor because she wasn't self-employed before she met me. But I could say the same about her, because she's a mentor in in so many ways, like in the way she started life, like in learning how to accept different lifestyles as well, because people tend to be very judgy about other lifestyles, and instead of like accepting other lifestyles and even being curious about it, people just judge, it's not the way I am, so it's probably not an interesting person to work with or even to be that way. But if you approach it in a different way, like, oh my gosh, this person is different, I'd love to talk to these people, to this person, because it's so much more interesting to dive into the unknown than being in what you know, saying in what you know everything about all the time. And that's the same with writing, it's like opening up yourself for new topics is so important. Because, curiosity, like if you're not curious, you can't write, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a lot harder if you're not curious about new things.
Yeah. Yeah, you basically said good business partners is mentoring each other, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of how to know that you can work with someone. And yeah, looking for that is, I think, extremely important. And also accepting that you can't do everything on your own. I was like always this lonely wolf kind of guy in the beginning, and I thought I can do it on my own until I then joined the community, and then I realized how important it is. And also putting it that way of being like, is this a mentor to you? Do you think you are a mentor to her? And then you just know this is going to work. And this is like kind of the answer to having a successful business. And I think you're running like a publishing house with her, right?
Yeah, I did.
What's the name of that? And what exactly are you doing?
It's called Montagshappen-verlag. It's German. So far it is German. We are trying to expand. Well, I'm trying to expand. She's a bit reactive when it comes to that because it's so much work on top of that. But as I live in Bali half time, like maybe more than half time these days, it's important for me to also give people in Asia a voice, Like I really want to expand our business to Asia. And we do have a distribution company working with us that distributes internationally, which is like a very good basis for that, a very good foundation. So what do? Like we have two different approaches. Like our first approach is like, and that was what we did for very long time already, publishing books, writing and publishing books for experts in several business fields. It's many business fields. It's also a bit like astrology and stuff because it's a lot of about mindset as well. But in general, it's like expert books we were publishing. But then one of my best friends, she started writing novels. Like, I can't even remember when it was, like 7 years ago. And she was giving me some of her books, and she was so afraid of getting my opinion about it because I'm pro and she's not and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to publish those books. And she did. Now she's a very successful Amazon self-published author, and she wanted to have one of her books that is very successful as an audiobook. So the distribution company we work with, they also have an audiobook service. So they work with several speakers that do read those audiobooks. So we produced this audiobook, so that was our first novel that we just published as an audiobook this year, actually. It's quite recent. And it works pretty well. It's awesome. And we have a subdivision. We founded a subdivision called MH, like for Montagshappen MH novels. And we're getting a lot of interest in that as well. So a lot of especially young adult novels writers approach us and ask us to publish their books because we can do everything. We can do audiobook, we can do ebook, we can do print on demand. Oh, that's maybe an interesting thing. Like we make the word print on demand because first of all, we don't want to waste resources, and I don't want to scrap like 1,000 books because they're not selling, and it's always a risk. So I think the publishing business in general is tending towards print on demand because you don't have like huge stock, and also it cuts like on your costs because you don't need like storage space. We do have small editions every now and then, like special issues with expert books. For example, right now we did a book like with 13 experts. It's called Führungshappen, like leadership happen. What is a happen in English? I'm just thinking about it. Leadership bites. It's like interviews and 13 very interesting people that have to do with leadership in whichever way, like self-then power, like leading international teams or teaching other people to lead remotely or stuff like that. Like we have 13 different perspectives, and we did the interviews, and we're now publishing the book like in 4 weeks. The manuscript was just done like a couple of days ago and sent out to the printing house. And sometimes we do have special editions, like we have like the hard copy in our storage and send it out to people. They can figure it out through our houses, but most of the time you're afraid on behind. And what was your question at the beginning? Sorry, I was...
Yeah, so you said that Montagshappen or like leadership. No, Monday Bites would be the English version of that, maybe. And then you also publish like leadership bites, which in German is Führungshappen. And that there are like 13 authors or 13 leaders basically combining, like it's the knowledge and skills of 13 leaders combined in one book.
Exactly.
So the first question I had was, where can I buy the book? Because this sounds very interesting to me.
You can actually already pre-order it on Amazon if you want. Like, I mean, I don't
Pre-order?
like Amazon, and I don't want to promote it, but it's actually there already. But you can only pre-order it. But we could also do it on montagshappen-verlag.de, and there's a shop. And it's also there. Like even the ebook is there. It's
I will link it. I will put the link in the description.
Awesome. And that's like the only outlet we have, like for the special edition as well. It's only buyable in our shops. It's not available on Amazon like the special edition, like hardcover with. I'm so excited about it. That's why I'm like hardcover and like with open edges. You can't even buy them in Germany. I think like most of the books don't have these edges. It's not typical to do it that way, and I love it so much. I wish I had a copy here, but it's not insistent.
What does it mean, open edges?
It's like, like cut off, like it's a hardcover, but it's not covered. Like the edges are not covered. It's just cut off, and you can see the paper. Like,
I think I know what you mean.
I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Yeah, but it's not normal in Germany to have those books. It was quite a hard process to find someone actually do it that way. And like a small edition, because as I said, I don't want to print thousands of books and then have them somewhere. Doesn't make sense. And so I saw a book about marketing at the Edinburgh airport in W.H. Smith, and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so nice. And I saw it in Bali as well in some Peri Plus shops. Like they have these type of edges, and then I figured, like, why not find the printing house that does it? So I did it, and it's in Latvia. So they're printing it for us and sending it over. Hopefully, pretty soon.
Yeah. Is only in German right now, or will there be an English version of that?
Well, right now it's only in German, but there might be an English version of it maybe by the end of the year. It's a bit dependent on how quick I am with like setting up the Asian publishing house, because like the English versions, the international versions of our books will go through that branch.
Okay.
That's it.
You mentioned Amazon for a second, and I totally understand that you don't like Amazon. I'm not sure if I like Amazon or not, to be honest. For me, it's like they do a lot of things good. Like you can just get like your Kindle there. You can buy so many products and it arrives the next day, right? At the same time, the way they treat third-party sellers, which in your case, like a publisher is as well, they can do whatever they want and they just have too much power. And then they are just like, I think you mentioned to me that I had a podcast last week with Joanna, who also sells on Amazon, and she's also struggling. I mean, she's not struggling, actually, she's crushing it, but she also has to deal with all the fees Amazon just randomly applies, and there's nothing you can do. So it's like, I definitely understand that, like, I also never wanted to sell on Amazon, but at the same time, like, just sharing the Amazon link for a book is the most convenient way. You just know that there's probably no shipping fee, or at least it's like done in a way that it's like super comfortable. And it's so hard to replicate that with your own shop, right? Because like you will not be able to do it the same way with like one-click checkout, all these things that people are just, you know, they have their account there, they have the credit card there. So it's just easier for you to sell it there. But at the same time, they can do whatever they want, and they can just, you know, take 90% of the profit. And if they get away with it, they still do it, and you never know what they will change. So what is your relationship to Amazon regarding that?
Well, as you already mentioned, it's quite comfortable. You know, like either as a user or as a buyer and as a seller, it's pretty comfortable if everything works out fine. But for example, they charge €1, I think it is, extra for printed products. Why the heck would they do that on media products? Like, it doesn't make sense. Why are people that, I mean, it's their whole business, you know, selling books. That was like how Amazon
It's supposed to
started
do that.
off.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why the heck are they charging €1 extra for every book that they want to sell there? Because they want to get you on KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, you know, because they can do print on demand in a very bad quality most of the time, to be honest. I don't like Amazon books. Like, I have seen like print on demand versions that were okay, but I've seen a lot of Rogerian out there as well. So that's an issue for me. You cannot control who's actually printing the book if you have that on demand on Amazon. Also, like if you do not have like a distribution company in between yourself, your publishing house, or yourself as an author and Amazon, you have to be able to do adverts on Amazon. You have to publish through Kindle Direct Publishing, which is another way of Amazon manipulating the market, I think, because they force you into the deal, and you cannot sell the book then somewhere else, like on Taniga in Germany, for example. It's only available on Amazon if you do it. So there's a lot of issues I have with that. They are really trying to manipulate the market. They are trying to make the most of money, which every business probably does, but they have, in my opinion, a very dangerous position. So I would always try to avoid Amazon, but in a lot of ways I can't. So I have to personally like limit myself every now and then and say like, no, you're not shopping on Amazon, you're buying stuff somewhere else, just to make sure I'm not only supporting the big ones. And an advice I can give to every book buyer out there: if you want to support an author or publishing house, buy directly there, because then they actually make some money with it. You know, I often talk to people about why are books so expensive these days? Because the paper price went up for something like crazily, because there's so much work. It's so much work to actually do a book and publish a book. Like, you have no idea if you've never done it before. I had no idea, even though I already published books from other publishing houses. When I started publishing it, I was like, oh my fucking god. Now I understand why, as an author, for example, you only get €1 per book. Because a publishing house does so much work with it. And so on and so on. So, what I was about to say is like, buy directly. Yeah, buy it with the people who wrote the book, or with the publishing houses that are actually published here.
Yeah, it's hard in practice, especially if you don't have like an emotional attachment to the offer, for example. Because
Absolutely.
if you go to their website, you probably have to wait 5 days instead of 1 day. You probably have to pay extra shipping. And when you have like Amazon Prime, you don't pay shipping, right? So like there's the big problem of this is so much more convenient, but also like you need to understand that, as you said, you need to actively make the decision to not buy there, because you know it's only good for Amazon in the end and for your convenience, but everyone else is kind of losing comparison to, you know, buy on with Thalia, or you just go to their local bookstore or something. And that's a big challenge, and yeah, very powerful. Buy directly. There was something else I wanted to ask you. What was the last part you said? I forgot it.
like the share you get like from publishing process. You mean
Oh, yeah,
that?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You said, people complain about the prices of books,
yeah.
but actually, books are extremely cheap for all the time people spend, writing them. You spend years writing a book. Then the publishing house, you say you understand why, even as a writer yourself, you understand that you only make €1 per book because there's so much work that goes into. And still, you can buy books for $10, $20. And if a book is more than $20, it's already expensive, right? So when you compare the time spent of the offers of the publishing houses compared to what the customer pays for it, we don't appreciate that enough, right? Because the reason it's so cheap is that there are so many books, sort of, and it's more like it only works if there are a lot of people buying it. That's kind of the system. But if you just make one book for one person, you have to charge like 20,000 plus probably, right? That it is somewhat, maybe even more actually, right? Because let's say you write 1-2 years on it, you need to charge 50, 100K for one book. That's kind of how much, and that's also how much the book needs to make in order to be profitable, I guess. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't know. You can tell me, like, when does it make sense, for example, to write a book when you want to make money out of it? Just by selling the book?
It's hard. It's actually hard. It's really hard. I mean, if you write yourself and it's part of your like daily routine, and it's not like some time you really have to cut off from your daily work schedule and help, then you probably don't need to make that much money with it. But like there's a few things and it's always like it's coming and going in waves. Like it's all about trends, like if you're, for example, like if you're a novel writer or something, you better write because you want to make money with it. Like a lot of experts don't write because they want to make money with the book. They're using the money to show off their expertise and to actually have a marketing tool. I also do PR, like getting people into the media that no one has ever heard about is really hard. But if you have a book and you can show off their expertise, it's so much easier. So we use it as a tool for marketing and for sales as well. So it's always like you have to take into consideration if you want to actually make money with the book or money through the book. That's like a totally different approach. So an investment of maybe 15, 20, 25K, it's a little bit dependent on how long the book it is, how much you actually have to spend on a ghostwriter or whatever. There's like these two different approaches. If you really want to make money through the book, it's probably easier to write a novel because novels are easier to sell, in my opinion. And this is about trends. Like, for example, maybe you remember there was a huge trend with vampire and fantasy books a while ago. Yeah. So what happens, like, if this is a trend, everyone jumps on it. But, like, it's going to be over in a couple of months or in a year or two. And then another trending topic is coming up. It's like the same that happens with Instagram, where it's like, what's popular on Instagram, for example, or what's popular on TikTok, it changes and goes in waves. Like, it's always like if there's a lot of fantasy novels out in the market right now, then the interest changes to like more reality-based books, like maybe autobiographies or something, like afterwards, because there's always a counter trend to it. So jump on the counter trend instead of going with the trend, because when we figure out there is a trend, it's most of the time always too late to jump on it.
Yeah, that's a very good life lesson. Like, not like very true for investing, right? Like, if everyone is buying crypto, everyone talks about it, you know that it's too late. You should not buy now. It's going to crash soon. And also for trends even for books itself, right? Also on Instagram, TikTok, I see it all the time. It's really about knowing, being original in a way, but also not completely trying to create something new, because then no one knows what you're talking about, but still not just following the trend exactly. And what you said is very important that I didn't really think about. If you want to make money writing books and you're just an author, then it's about novels. It's about stories that are trendy or that are like, as you said, anti-trend, but have potential to become a trend, right? That's kind of the books you want to write. And maybe there's probably a whole system about finding topics that are interesting, right? But business books are not really to make money up front. And that's also why guys like Hormozy or Russell Brunson, they selling their books or basically giving the books away for free. Maybe they charge shipping so they don't lose money on it or something. But their whole idea is to just market yourself, right? That people know you, that people understand that you're the expert, but they are probably losing money, right? Because as I said, it probably costs like 20, 30K or something to write a book. And if they charge $1 or whatever, especially when they print it as well, they are losing money on selling even, right? So for them, it's even probably bad financially in the beginning to sell the books. But it's really about a lot of people know that you exist, a lot of people use your concepts, and then a lot of people will buy whatever you offer them next, right? And for you, it's also about, as a writer, you can publish novels and make money there, which is probably hard because maybe no one buys it. It's like, even if you're really good, it needs still to be a topic that is interesting to people. But then you can also write for others, right? Like ghostwriting. You can write the business books for others, which is probably a more stable income, because once you have a client and you write a book for them, it's, you have a deal up front, you sell them an offer, or you also or you're about to launch a writing course, right?
Yeah. What I actually did already. It's like we do have, I think I didn't tell you about that. We do have a magazine, like our publishing house opens a magazine, an online magazine called Iconista. Iconista. Iconista in German. Iconista with a K, like a German version of it.
Iconista,
.de. Yeah.
We'll link it
right
below.
now it only exists in German, but I have bigger plans for that as well. But that's like the status quo right now.
I see.
And we do have webinars, or we call it web sessions, on certain topics. So we always invite an expert doing a web session for 1.5 hours maximum. And it's like an intro course, like you can get like an overview on topic, and then you can like decide if you want to do a bit more, learn a bit more from the expert, and then obviously you have to buy another course. But this one is only €39, and I think it's on the 16th of May at noon German time, because I will be in Bali and it's gonna be a lot to make there for me, so I need to put it to like in the middle of the night. And there's a follow-up course to that, which is also already available in June, which is called like lunch break writing. Like if I translate it, so it's gonna be 4 days, and it's gonna be 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours. It's a bit dependent on how it's going with the flow, like for a week, and you have to commit to that. And there's like another thing coming up, like because people struggle a lot with getting their routines in place, and like they want to write books or blog like or magazine, whatever, and they're not getting their routines in place. And so we're trying to build a community behind it, like maybe checking in once a week, seeing the progress, like seeing how far they have come, giving advice. Like it's going to be a once a week check-in with people that we can ask questions and even like get into a community. How strong it is, how powerful it is to be part of a community. And if you're part of a writing community, you tend to commit a lot more to the writing routines than if you're just like what you call the lone wolf worker. So that's the plan about it. But so far the webinar is out, and the lunch break writing course is also there. If there's like English-speaking people who want to do it, they can approach me directly, maybe through my Instagram or WhatsApp, whatever. My numbers are everywhere on all the com pages, all the websites that I have. And then we can set up like another date, but this one is like the German speakers so far.
Okay, so to summarize, on 16th of May, which is like from today, it's like 20 days I think this will go live in like on Monday, so maybe it's like two weeks from now. There is on Iconista the webinar. Is that correct?
The webinar is called Iconista Web Session Writing. I'll send you the link.
Okay, we'll link it below. And it's only like 39 euros.
It's
like
only
$40.
39 euros. Yeah.
That's crazy cheap.
It's just for 1 hour, to be fair. I'm just giving
still. You can probably charge $500 an hour, but whatever. I take it. I will be there. And then you also the lunch break writing, which is basically the course on how to become a better writer.
Go ahead.
It's like a 1 week seminar, right? Or like
it's a 4-day seminar.
4 days.
Yeah. It's like it's a web session as well. I'm going to be live with those people answering my questions and giving advice.
Okay, so it's like similar to like a boot camp where you have like a Zoom call and then people have homeworks and that's great. So they get even more value, even more time. It will be probably also too cheap because you already start with $40. So
I actually think it's $2.99. I can't remember, to be honest, but I think it's $2.99. So there is more value to it, definitely.
All right. And this starts in June, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you publish the dates, or where can you actually register?
It's on montagshappen-verlag.de in the shop. There's like back sessions and courses and stuff as well. It's not only books because it's more. Yeah. Well, then the read that would be the new answer.
Yeah.
I
see. Yeah. And then you also said about the community, right? You also have the writing community. And we are both in the same community, which is how we got to know each other. And I think it's fair to say that if you want to become good at anything, a community is just needed. It's not like maybe it's good to be part of a community. It's like you just learn so much from others. You motivate each other. If you have like a lot of writers and all of them want to get better, then, it's like a constant synergy creating, mistake avoiding. Like you make mistakes, I don't have to make your mistakes because I learn from you. You can help me here, I can help you there. And it's also about, having friends who are like-minded, who have the same values, the same goals. And this is just so much more powerful than trying to do it yourself. Like, I guess especially writers might think that you can do it on your own because in theory, it's just you and you have to write something. But, it will not be true because I also tried to do stuff on my own. Things that in theory could work, but actually they don't. You just need to have people and then everything becomes so much easier. So I'm happy to join that community as well.
Awesome. The second I have 10 people interested, I'm going to set it up. So there's a waiting list to it.
All right. We should set up a waiting list. You already have it, you said. But I will also link it somewhere. And then I will get people in so that I can also be part of the community. That's amazing. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
As I said, I really believe that writing is the most important thing. I make reels, I send newsletters, I don't know, it's like so many things where the writing and being good at writing and having people who give you feedback on your writing and tell you, okay, this is the right emotion, like ad copies for when you run ads on something. It makes or breaks the success of an entire company, in my opinion. It's way less the product. It's way more how people feel when they hear about you, when they read about you. If you don't have the right content out there, it's like it doesn't matter how good your product is. People will just not understand it, and therefore they don't buy it. Only once people buy the product, then somehow it's actually also important that the product delivers so that people are happy with it. But especially when you start out, it's like, I don't know, writing is the most important thing, I think. So I'm not trying to be nice here. I strongly believe that writing is the most important skill for business.
Well, it's emotion. It's about transporting emotions through your words, right? So
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Also for any video, right? You need to script it. You need to understand it. You need to be good at storytelling. All these things. Without them, and it's not easy to outsource either. Like I think, either you you work with someone like you, which for some is probably not possible because you still need to invest a lot of money into writing a book, for example. But then at least, work with you in the way of, okay, you can now help me to do it myself. So I think you're in a very powerful position, because it's like,
Am I?
yeah,
I just
it's like,
do what I love,
yeah.
And maybe that transports to other people and relates to them. And I would love that. I love connecting with people. So
Yeah.
let's connect.
I think not enough people understand that, actually, how important it is that you have someone who can either write your book or help you write your book better, or your copies, all of that better. I think it's so important. Anyway, I have some other questions for you. You are doing this for 20 years and you're mainly focused on writing, but you're also, I think, a psychotherapist. You're trained in hypnosis and Rogerian counseling. We can talk about this as well. And you told me that all these things, a yoga teacher, I'm not sure if I already said, I think you said it.
Yeah, yoga teacher as well. No.
Yeah, and you said that you're not only doing this as a hobby, but it's like also part of your entire journey as a writer.
Well, to be fair, I'm a trained heilpraktiker for psychology and trained in hypnosis, so that I can call myself a hypnotherapist, and I do it every now and then, but only privately, like with friends and family. So I don't have a practice, I'm not counseling. Like should be. I'm a writer and a business owner, and part of this because it helped me a lot to understand how people think, how people work, how to approach people. It's a lot about psychology and mindset, right? Like, especially if you want to show people on how to establish a routine, for example, you have to understand how they work, how their brain works, how their thinking works. So first of all, get the mindset straight is one of the main issues to get people into routines. So that helps a lot. Like Rogers, you were mentioning Rogers, helps a lot. Because if you talk to people and you mirror them all the time, like Rogers has got mirroring, if you repeat what they said, sometimes it's easier for them to understand what they actually said, because sometimes they're just talking about things and they can't get it fixed in their head, they can't get a grid to it in their minds. It's so much easier if you have another person talking to you and you're repeating it over and over again, because then it comes back to you and you see from different perspective. So it helps me. And also because I read a lot of expert books and ghostwriter, it helps me to dive into topics. There's a lot about mindset on books as well, but especially on expert books. So understanding how that works to get your mindset set and everything, to get your mind set. That actually helps a lot to write these books. So I'm curious, I said it, I always need to have something new that I dive into. So that's why I started among things, but it helps me so much with my daily business, every day. Also with my own mindset, for example, a year ago, I wouldn't have done that interview because I would have been scared. No, maybe I don't do perfect right now, stuff like that. I don't care anymore, It's just because I really like talking to you. If that podcast helps anyone, I'm really happy. Even if I can't make any money out of it, it's not about that. It's about making an impact. And I don't care if people like me or Ray or whatever. I don't care, And that's mindset. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It also shows that you really have a passion for writing, because you're also going the extra mile. Like no one would tell you, hey, you need to have hypnotherapy, or you need to dive into yoga or whatever to write better, right? It's just you exploring and trying to get better at what you're passionate about. And I really love that.
Exactly.
And the confidence part, I do care that, you know, my grammar is not good, or that I look kind of weird on camera, or that, you know, the way I say things. But then I'm still like, I think doing a podcast is a cool thing. And I think you have this probably similar approach. It's like doing a podcast is still better than not doing it and hiding, because I think the hiding part is like easier, of course, right? You don't have to talk to someone on camera and publish yourself. But it also means that you're not connecting with new people. And yes, it means that maybe 1% of the people think that I look stupid and that what I'm saying is wrong. And the same might apply to you, right? But it doesn't matter, because this 1% of people, otherwise they wouldn't hear from you. So it doesn't matter if they don't like what you do versus if they just don't know you exist. But you have the opportunity to connect with other people and be like, yeah, and like I'm sure someone is watching this and is like, oh, if I want to write a book, then Mona is the person I want to talk to. And you also have like these other courses that are super helpful for people. And I think getting out there, you will just get some people being very interested in that, right? I think it's just the right approach of doing it. But yeah, this is still mindset, I guess, right? Because it could still just be like, I'm afraid I don't want to show myself to the public, and then no one can criticize me. And that's just, yeah, it's just the way you think about things, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I would have done it like in a totally different way. Like I'm making that 1 year term never go, but 2 years ago, I would have been like afraid to go on camera, you know? Like actually a friend of mine that I met at the yoga teacher training in Bali. This is how I connected with Bali. I did the yoga teacher training there. She's 25 and I'm 50, and we're getting along amazingly well. And I learn from her daily, and she learns from me daily. So this is like really amazing. And she was actually the one forcing me in France to have her. She was like, "You record those bloody videos," and I like no, and she was not shy heck about it. So I recorded some videos, and it was fun. So it's just, yeah, go for it. And it's the same with writing. Go for it. If you like it, go for it. If you don't like it, whatever, you could stop at any time, right? There's no danger in it.
That's true. There's not much danger. Like, I mean, unless you publish something that is like illegal or something, but you know, then it's your own fault. And I think what you mentioned is also, I mean, also true for me, because I'm doing this podcast based on, you know, I was invited by Anatoly last year to his podcast. It was not like the first podcast he did. And I started to understand what podcasting is and why it makes so much sense. But I was super afraid to do it. But because of him, I also got like this kind of push into thinking, what can actually happen? Like, it's not the worst thing. Like, I think it's actually the right choice. And I think you also had the same experience with her in Bali. And she just said, just do the video. So you sometimes also have to, you need to meet someone who pushes you a bit, I think, right? Because otherwise it's just easier to not do it. And I think with the writing is the same thing, right? People want to publish a book, but then you are the person who kind of pushes them and tells them this is how it's done, and it's not that hard after all. And you can help them to structure it, to publish it. Like you have your own publishing house, right? So like all the problems are solved, and you can also teach them how to do it. You're not just like a businesswoman who just tries to get more sales. You actually know, like, your passion is writing itself. So you're like the perfect all-in-one package if I want to publish a book. I like that. I really like that.
Oh my gosh. I feel so superior now. No, I'm not. I'm just like, it's really lovely how you let people shine in your podcast. I like that. Nice approach as well.
Yeah. I have a question for you. I asked this question a lot of people. And I mean, I already know the answer, but for you it's easy. What would you do? What would you do if I gave you $100 million?
Okay, well, I would publish a shitload of people that don't have the money to like pay for graphic design, publishing, and all these kind of things. I would really like to help people raise their voices, you know, and like raising it through books is so much easier. And the other share, would still be a lot of money left, and the other share would go through animal shelters, I think, because I've done so much and I learned so much from animals in my life. So, yeah, I would go to animal shelters.
Okay.
And
That's
rather
powerful.
amazingly, I would spend a shitload of money also on advertising in my community, because setting up this community is a lot of work as well. And I want to have a lot of people in it that can benefit from each other. I really want to make an impact with money. I'm not just selling money. I really want to make an impact with money. Giving back, especially to Bali. Bali has given me so much energy, friends, community, beauty, whatever, and I want to give back. That's really important to me.
Yeah, you're in a very beautiful position. You would basically just double down on what you're already doing by, the community you're building, getting more people in, by publishing more for people who can't afford everything right now, and you just, spend money to raise their voices, which is what you're doing already. And then you're ready to give back already because you just appreciate what you're thankful, right? It's the gratitude for the places you visited. That's a very powerful position. I don't think a lot of people are in this position right now because they are like, yeah, I would just quit doing this and then I would only do that. For you, it's more like, I would just double down on what I'm doing right now. And that's exactly the spot you want to be in, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Shit, I'm happy. I like where I am. Yeah, I like it. It's great.
Yeah, I also share the love for Bali. It's, I don't know, people who haven't been to Bali usually don't understand. Even people who were in Bali don't understand sometimes because they might just go there for 2 weeks and they stay in Canggu for a few days and then they don't understand the Bali vibe. But I mean, I guess you also have been to Ubud a lot, right? And I guess you've worked or stayed there for a few months because this is usually how long it takes until you discover the magic of it, right? The magic of the connection to other people, sharing the values, really understanding what you want out of life, sort of, and connecting to people there. So I also have to thank Bali a lot for that. Or in general, traveling. I mean, Bali is a very special vibe, but there are also other places where you can have similar experiences. I think it's a lot about connecting to other people who just share similar values, right? Or what is the main reason you think that, traveling or Bali ignites all these things?
Well, let's narrow it down to traveling first, because I think traveling actually feeds or nourishes my curiosity. I love meeting people, and I love having different perspectives on life. And the more you travel, the more different perspectives you get. So that's really interesting. It's I grow through traveling, personally. Bali, for me, is very special because I'm very sensitive when it comes to energies. I can feel a connection with people or not. I can actually feel, I'm getting goosebumps now and I'm talking about it. And probably because I'm German right now, it's really cool. The second I set my foot on Bali ground, I felt an energy that I've never felt before. Never ever in my life. I felt connected. So even though my home is Germany, I feel more home in Bali because I feel connect with the energies of the country, of the island. And the people make the difference, right? The Balinese people, obviously I'm generalizing here, but most of the Balinese people that I met, they approach you with open hearts and with a lot of friendliness, which I love. They still, obviously, you are the rich bully, what we're called. So obviously they want to make money with you as well. But that's normal and understandable, right? But first of all, they are friendly, they are open, and you can join them easily in all their like ceremonies really big. You know, being thankful is such a big part of their culture. Being helpful, karma, I believe in karma, I believe in karma. It's all about energies. This is what, for me, Bali makes very special for me. For example, I was traveling in Vietnam as well last year because I'm doing some articles about Vietnam. I'm studying white group in the side of magazines as well. I'm setting up like travel specials for long-term travelers, you know, and because I'm not like the typical digital nomad because I'm already 50, I'm not like 25 anymore. I want to give a different approach to traveling longer and leaving the country and not being like stuck in a life and differently that probably limits you. Like if you just stay in one place all the time, you limit yourself in a way. And I want to raise the awareness for people that are not 25 anymore that they can still do it. You know, they can still work from anywhere in the world. They can still make business anywhere in the world. And gain a different perspective on life and lifestyle. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm working on traveling pieces about Bali, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and like what I experienced in Vietnam. It's a beautiful country and people are really helpful and friendly as well, but it's a different vibe. There's like a more competitive vibe. There's a more like speedy vibe. If you ever cross the road in Vietnam, you might be scared for your life. And if you can cross the road in Vietnam, you can do anything, believe me. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, and that's like the vibe I like about Bali. They care. They let you cross the road. They might even stop the car right in 20 feet to let you pass. Not gonna happen in Vietnam. So this is one example.
I have the exact same experience.
Beautiful.
You described it beautifully. It's, like I crossed the road. I think I had to cross like the main road in Vietnam maybe 5 times or so. And every time I thought, okay, we're probably dying 50% of the time doing this. It's so crazy. I mean, it still works somehow if you follow their rules, which is, you know, always walking the same speed and people will just go left and right and
just don't look. Just don't.
Yeah, this is so crazy. But yeah, there's like a different vibe. It's more like I wouldn't say westernized vibe because I don't want to say westernized countries are bad in general. But it's more like this competitive, like I want to make more money and I don't care about others that much anymore. So in Bali, it's still, people still try to do business and make it, but they always still try to help each other. There's more like karma. There's more like win-win situation kind of, right?
Yeah.
And in other countries, like I'm from Austria, you're from Germany, we experience the same culture really. It's more about, I get more degrees, I make more money, I have the bigger car, right? Like this is not that important in Bali. It's more about, actually no one really cares, right? Like, yeah, you have like that scooter, the cheap one, you have the more expensive scooter. Maybe there's a little bit of, I want to show off with scooters, but it's like very minimal compared to what you experience in more, you know, westernized cultures where it's more about, you know, showing off how much money I have. And this is quite addicting as well, right? Because it's sometimes you're like coming back and you're just sad that people have certain values and they're like, why do you care about this? Why do you care about having that $10,000 watch? Like, why do you think you're better now? It's like, you know, so I think traveling is really powerful to understand what makes people happy and what doesn't in a way, and also take the best parts out of that. Yeah, we have like really the same experience. It's kind of funny.
If I go out here, I'm in Berlin right now. If I go out in the streets here, people are like looking at you.
Yeah.
They might even shout at you because you're in their way or whatever. In Bali, not gonna happen. You go out in the streets and everyone's like, hey, if you don't know people. It's like, I love it.
Yeah, I always bring like the coffee shop example. If I go to a coffee shop here in Austria and I talk to a stranger, they might be like, don't you have friends? Why are you talking to me, sort of, right?
Mhm.
But in Bali, you
Yeah.
just go there and there's someone sitting next to you and you just say hi. And more often than not, you just talk to them 1 hour and next day you just go sauna together or whatever, right? Like that's normal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's yeah, it's so different. Yeah, when do you go back to Bali?
Next week. Like
Oh,
3rd
next
of
week.
May, I'm gonna touch down. Yeah, I'm gonna touch
Oh,
down
wow.
on the 3rd of May, and I'm counting down hours. I mean, it's not that I don't like being in Germany. I love being with my parents. I don't see them that
Yeah,
often. I do still have a little family here, and my partner, my business partners, and my life partner is here as well, and I can't wait for him to come to Bali as well.
yeah,
But still, it's, yeah, I can't, yeah, Bali called me. I can't go back to normal.
yeah.
Now
Same.
I own it.
Going back in
When are you
January.
coming? Oh, in January, okay.
January.
So much time still. Oh my God. How
Yeah,
are you?
the life partners are sometimes also a bit challenging, right? My girlfriend, who's also a hypnotherapist, by the way,
So fun.
we will come in January, but you know, she's also still working here, and yeah, it's like also the decision you have to make: should I leave my life partner to travel or not? Right? It's not that easy.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
we're not really sure if we should, like the flat I'm living in right now. It's not that easy. Like, I think, did you solve it by simply, you know, giving up your flat in Germany, and then you
No.
just, when you're in Germany, you living at your parents or something? Or how do you
No,
solve
it's
the?
big sublet right now. Like I'm right now on with my parents.
Yeah.
But my life partner and I, we do have 2 flats. So
Oh, still.
we're together. Yeah, we're together for a very long time, and we used to live together as well. But when we felt it's better for our relationship, and it's actually deepening our relationship when we're apart every now and then, not do everything together. Like
Okay.
everyone, we both have our own lives, you know, and we
Yeah.
when our paths crossed. I mean, we have a company together as well. It's something we're like still very close, but we don't see each other every day, and we don't do everything together all the time. That works amazingly well for both of us. We're both happy with that. So, yeah, I stay with my partner, I stay with friends, I'm, you know, like couch surfing. I'll go to a lot of people's couches and sleep on them, or air mattresses. So that works for me. Like for a month or two, that works, you know. And we do, yeah. So I suffer in my apartment, and yeah, and I just go and raise from my landlord, because they decided, like, if you stop letting it, we can raise outside to have. That's just the way it is. But that works pretty well, and every now and then it's just, yeah, I just have friends over there because I don't want it to be empty, you know. It's, yeah, I love my apartment. It's beautiful. It's got a lovely garden.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a challenge but looks like you have figured it out quite well. Because I'm like, if I'm leaving for 6 months, then I still have a lot of bills to pay for nothing, sort of. But
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
giving it up is like, okay, then you just have to go to your parents. That's why I kind of assumed
Yeah.
maybe, because I'm thinking of, what if you give up this place and then when I'm in Austria, I just stay at my parents' place, right?
Cool.
That's kind of the easiest choice in a way. But then you still don't want to stay there forever. So it's like,
You know.
I don't know what's the best solution. I mean, the best solution is the one to just have a flat and just pay for it, and you know, but it's still expensive. So
Of course, yeah, it's a waste of money if it's empty, right? But there's another thing, like, I'm not making money with it, you know? I'm just subletting it for exactly the price that I'm paying.
yeah, like not
Because-
losing money is already good,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like every money you don't lose is amazing. So
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, you need to coach me on that one, because I don't know how to you know, when I live 6 months, how can I get someone for 6 months who pays for it? Feels challenging in my head, but maybe it's not.
well, you have a community. Like, put it out in the community. I don't have it on Airbnb or anything, you know? I'm just talking to people. Like, hinting. I'm leaning for a while again to still lead an apartment or engineer an apartment. And right now, especially in Hamburg, maybe not especially in Hamburg, but that's the market I know. It's actually really hard to get an apartment, especially a finished one. I've got everything, I've got a kitchen, I've got like a washing machine, a dryer, and all these high things.
You don't have to do anything. You can just live here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, where can people find you? I mean, we already talked about it. There are several links. Yeah, like there's the Montagshappen Verlag, like Monday
I've got
Bites.
my Instagram. Yeah, I've got my Instagram. I've got my LinkedIn. I like people reaching out on Instagram or actually texting it through WhatsApp. Because I have so many channels and I'm not checking them all the time because it's just time consuming. So LinkedIn is a good place.
LinkedIn, and, Instagram, and WhatsApp. But I guess, do you have like the Instagram WhatsApp connected? Can people WhatsApp you directly, or do they have to Instagram you first?
I do have Schnell.de, which is my own page, which has my phone number on it. So like it's everywhere. It's a business phone number, so it's everywhere. You can even publish it out online because it's a business phone.
Okay,
I will. If I don't want to be reached.
Yeah, I will link everything below. Maybe not the number because some people might just get annoying.
Yeah.
With numbers.
Sure.
So yeah, that's cool. So on the 16th, in 2 weeks from now, I will join the webinar, the Iconist web. I forgot it. Web session.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 1 hour session where I learn how to write. That's good. And then
yeah, you just need that 1 hour. That's not about singing to say.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're in a very powerful situation where you can change lives of a lot of people.
At home?
Yeah.
I would love to. For the best, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, it was lovely talking to you. You have any questions?
Likewise. No. I'm good. It's really nice talking to you.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you have like everything in place. Like I didn't know you enough before. I kind of thought you're a journalist and you write and you have like a publishing house, but there's like everything in place. You can, whenever you have anything, any problem regarding writing, I can learn from you. I can hire you sort of, if you like to work with me, right? To publish a book, you have your own publishing houses. I can do like print on demand with you. I can do a Kindle version with you. I can do Audible with you. It's like everything's in place, and you're also expanding internationally to Singapore. I think you want to basically start a new company or basically expand by opening a company in Singapore.
A branch.
A branch
in Singapore, yeah.
You have a beautiful business partner who you consider to be a mentor, and vice versa, right? So that to me sounds really like the, a successful career, and all you do is around the same passion, and you're trying to get better at what you do, in terms of always looking for new ways and always expanding. What you said about maybe you become the new Amazon, maybe not, but it's still it's still like the right mindset to have, right? It's a big goal to have, and that just means you're really confident in what you do, and you know that you can make a lot of big changes in the publishing industry, in the writing industry in general. Yeah, it's really powerful, and I hope that this podcast also helps you a little bit in terms of getting more people to join a community or whatever they will do. And yeah, thank you so much for coming today. This was my first podcast with Riverside. I think it worked quite well. I hope so. We'll see later.
It did. And there's 99% already uploaded. I've done a couple of podcast interviews to Riverside.
That's also amazing. That's amazing, because that's why I thought maybe it's hard to tell people, but No, you already know, of course. There's nothing I need to explain. Yeah, thank you,
I was
Mona.
not that good with the cardinal.
With what?
With the cardinal, I wasn't that good.
Yeah, that was just an idea.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I think we will talk soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. It was
you,
such
Mona.
a pleasure talking to you, and we'll stay in touch, I guess.
We will definitely stay. And if I ever write a book, you're the first person I talk to.